Okay, let's get started. Looks like we don't have anyone online, but we can still do the base recording of our meeting. Just wanted to welcome everybody to our first scheduled trustee meeting. And the scope of this meeting is just to go over the website. I think it's kind of imperative to the work that we have in store for us this particular period in our church's history. So I wanted to be able to create a website where we can have all of the necessary tools and documentation that we need to get our jobs done. Hopefully, when I send this recording out to everyone, you can get a better understanding of how SharePoint works as well as the GoToMyMeeting software. We'll have another scheduled live meeting this coming Tuesday on, I believe it's the 16th at 7 o'clock, and we'll just kind of go over some quick pointers about the SharePoint site and then continue on with the business of the day. So what I'm going to do now is right now you should be able to see the mouse moving around, and you'll see a couple of icons being clicked and shared and all that information. So that's actually screen one of our presentation. This is going to be basically the tool we use to control the online virtualized meeting. But I'm going to switch screens to screen number two, and this actually has our SharePoint site up, and you should be able to see it now. So one of the first things that I want to mention, I'm already logged on, but what I'll do is I'll just basically log off of SharePoint so you guys can see how the entire logon process works. So basically, you'll uh, bring up the entire site. And it's best to use, believe it or not, it's best to use Firefox for the site as opposed to using IE, which makes no sense. But I'm going to try to use the IE site for now. Some of the links don't really work with using IE, so that's why I was emphasize Firefox. So portal info, that's the logon screen that you'll see. You'll see basically I'm going to put my test information in, and of course my password. And this will work with everyone. You should have already received a password and logon information a couple of days ago. So this is the first thing, one of the first things you'll see. You'll see if you go on this top browser, you see ASPX. That's a good indication that the site that you look at is going to be a SharePoint site. And this is, again, something that's used with all SharePoint sites that are out there on the web. Some of them have a different operational configuration. Ours is more or less what we call a team site. That means we can share information back and forth. You'll see a constant rotation of different pictures as we move further into our ministry, and as far as with the trustee boards, we can also change up the pictures and put more pictures in there, but we'll kind of go through that a little later on. But what I wanted to show you first is the home page, and this is the home page, which didn't really change. We also have another page within the site called Getting Back on the Hill, and as you can see, this is basically a site that has what we need to do, our whereabouts. We can also change these and the calendar, and we can put tasks and lists and different bits and pieces of information as we have to plan on taking all of the things out of storage and getting back on the hill. And this would be a huge help for us across the board as we start getting closer and closer to that date. The planning will probably have to commence as soon as possible, but again, the whole scope of this site is to just go over the site itself. Um, we also have another site called Meetings, and this is what we're going to could use to actually track all of the live trustee meetings or even virtualized meetings that we have. And if you look in your far left pane, you can see these dates. These are dates that have been prearranged that they fall on every third Tuesday of the month, and this is what's called the recurring event as far as dates are concerned. So if I were to click on the next one for February, you can see that pretty much everything stays the same, basic information. If you look in the top left corner under this icon, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. This is basically the agenda items that we can use. It can be standard, of course, call to order, department divisional status, new items, work priorities, and to adjourn a meeting itself. And that is pretty much part of the agenda. If you were to click a new item, something I want to show you, we go back to meeting scheduled for the third Tuesday in January. If I were to go to edit text or add a text, I can sit there and say test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, say save, and boom, you'll see the text 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is actually have been edited and saved into what's called our front page. But let's go back to our home page. I want to show you some of the various properties we have. SharePoint is set up in 3 different phases: what's called the site, what's called document libraries, and something called list. This picture in this survey is basically a various another form of a list being compiled. But as I click on sites, you'll see that our home site has 2 sites incorporated with it. One is called Getting Back on the Hill, and the other one is called our Live Trustee meeting site. So that's how that pretty much works. As far as the site content, you can see it in this icon and this icon. These are basically the same. If you want to see all of the content to our website, you'll scroll all the way down, and then you would select a item called all site content at the very bottom of the site. Clicking on that would actually display all of the lists, the sites, the document libraries, and all the information within the website. And if you see to your far right corner, you see something called last modified. These are the time frames that this information was last modified to the system. So we can see how many items is included with each of these sites or documented libraries or things of that nature. And then we can see when the last entry was actually made. So that's kind of helpful. So again, you'll scroll all the way down and you hit all site content, and you'll be able to see that information. Recycling bin. One of the neat things about SharePoint is that it works just like a computer recycling bin. If you have an item and you want to delete it, you just select recycling bin, and this is where those items actually fall. The program will keep these items for 30 days, and then they're going to be automatically deleted. Also, if I were to click on an item, I can restore it by hitting that restore selection or delete it. So that's another interesting and neat feature of SharePoint that might be extremely helpful in the future. So again, that's recycling bin, and then at the bottom of the page we also have all site content, so you can see how the lists, the picture libraries, the document libraries, and the sites are actually set up. So these are called sites and workplaces, and something called a discussion board and survey, and we'll go over that shortly. I'm going to scroll back up, hit the home page, and as you can see, these are some of the pictures that are scrolling through. Interesting picture of Abraham Lincoln standing near Fort Stevens way back in the day, and that looks like a flag or something like that. But I've found some of these off of the internet, and I thought they would kind of be a neat thing. So let's get started with a survey. This is basically, I can create a survey, but we also have a department survey. And if you were to click on it, it basically asks a question. So this is pre-set up by myself or anybody that wants to conduct a survey amongst the people of the team. So let's click this button that says respond to survey. And in this survey, are you interested with the idea? Are you interested in becoming a task leader? Are you interested in my future meetings? And can you research up targets? And basically, you just say yes or no. You give your particular answer. Let's just say all yes. Let's say yes here. Let's put a little bit of information and say yes here, and then click to finish. As you can see, earlier it was set at 2, and now we have 3. So that basically means that 3 people have responded to this survey. These are the actions of the survey, where it can be exported to a spreadsheet, and then from here you can modify the questions or add questions to the survey. Another neat feature of this is that, let's say if we were at really had a lot of issues going back and forth that people were responding to, i.e. perfect example is the Survey 360. This information can be viewed in a graphical response based on how many members actually contribute to the discussion board. So it gives a percentage of 100% yes, 0 no's, and 0 maybe. So that will be interesting information for people that wanted to collect data, for so to speak. Also, there was a text box that I put my little gibberish in. As you can see here, see here, and see here. That's the textual information that can be collected. And this is, again, more or less statistical information that's collected. So that part is in the survey. And again, I just wanted to do a high-level briefing of how the site works. And as we get more into the SharePoint business of the day, we can kind of go over things a little more detailed if folks need it. I mean, this may be a new concept to folks, and we all are learning this as we go along. So I think this is a cool thing to do, as far as constantly learning and constantly teaching things. So our next icon or link is called pictures. So these are some of the pictures that I put in the SharePoint site. So when you first logged on, you saw a lot of these pictures kind of scrolling through. Well, this is the library where these pictures have been housed at, also called a document library. So here we can add a folder and give it a name like logistics or operations or engineering, and those particular branch leads or team leads can put their folder information and their pictures in there. And if they wanted to broadcast it on SharePoint, like the scroll through, they will have permissions to do that based on how the site is set up, and we'll go over site settings a little later on. Uploading pictures, pretty much you can upload it from your desktop, upload, select the place where you want it, hit OK, and then it will populate in this area right here. Actions, you can either delete, create a slideshow, start a virtual feed. We probably won't really need that, and then also can set up alerts, and that's another feature we may not need to set up. So, of course, site settings, we can change how the library is set up, but this particular view you probably will not see based on the level of permissions that we have. This is something at the higher level permissions that I have as far as setting up the site. So we can kind of go over that a little later on throughout the year. So I just wanted to give you a quick and dirty about pictures and how those pictures actually came up. The next thing is our libraries. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different what we call document libraries. And these document libraries are the key to what our the information we have stored throughout our site. So let's click my favorite one, as I call it, the Emory United Methodist Church Documents and Information. These are some of the documents that I started to collect that would probably be the lead off things that we need to use to get started as far as the planning and the operations of our document. But let's go over a couple of things. These documents can be uploaded to our site based on document type. If I were to select type and hit ascending order, so to speak, as you can see, you will have all of the Windows document types, PDF document types, PowerPoint document types, Excel document types, and actual folders themselves. So that's just a way to kind of keep things in order, because if we didn't do it that way, you'll see a lot of different setups kind of going on. So cover sheet, this is an interesting thing. So sometimes people would automatically click, you want to do an edit or read out, and if you were to select OK, this will pop up. But depending upon which browser you use, you might get an error. So I can show you another way how to download those files. So if you were to select the document, and you can see how it kind of changes colors to green and this little arrow, hit the down arrow and you hit send to, and then you can download this particular document to your computer. Also, there's a feature called checkout. This is if we had to do some editing for a document. I don't think we need to really use this feature, but it's basically you can check a document out, make some edits to it, and check it back in. I would need to have another person online to actually show you how that works, but that's okay for now. But the basis is, let's say that I was working on some kind of document and I finished it. I would check it back in. Tim had to make some edits to the document, and then Audrey or Calvin tried to make edits to that document that Tim had just checked out. They could not do it until it's checked back in. But this is one of those things I don't think it's going to be really needed, but it's just part of the SharePoint feature. But again, you can select this send to. You can email the document. You can create another document workplace, but you probably won't see that selection, or you can download the document. You click download, you'll see the little pop-up in the window, open, and actually it popped up on my second screen. I'll just slide it over so you can see. And from here you can see the actual document populating, and then of course you can save it to your desktop or do. The difference between this method and the actual first method is that you see that this is actually being managed by Adobe PDF software. If we were to go to that same document and just click on it and say open, it pops up in a browser window type. So it's a little more cumbersome this way, I think, but you can just save it to your a desktop as well or print it out using that icon, which is the print. This is the save icon, and this is the email icon, but it more or less operates in a browser format. So if I click this back arrow, it takes me back to the site itself. And this is a feature of all of the various documents that we have. This document, I click on that, I'll say open. This is a zip file. So this is a zip file of a lot of the information that I received from the building firm as far as the blueprints of our building. So this is something that we're probably going to have to start really looking at further on in the meetings. Again, I don't want to get into particular discussions about what the content or the actual individual documents themselves, but this is just, again, a general scope of how the SharePoint will handle it. This came in a zip file. These zip files can be downloaded to your computer. It is a PDF format, as you can see, and then you can start looking into the document and we can work from there. So I'm just going to close that out. I just wanted to give you an overview. The same thing with uh, all of the Excel files and various documents. They pretty much work the same. So here's one document. I opened it, and this one actually pops up an error because you might see this, you may not. This will be basically as far as how your security is set up on your computer. So if I were to say allow, then this is what I was talking about. So sometimes you have to constantly put your uh, user login and password back in here for this thing to actually activate. And sometimes it gets a little cumbersome using the IE browser. So that's why I said that it's best to, oh, let's see it's still popping up. Let's cancel out of that and see all the errors that start popping up. So it's real cumbersome. So that's when I just go using the send to, download copy, and this seems to work a little better. And as you can see, it popped right up. I'm actually kind of glad that this error popped up so you can actually see how this thing works. And I'll say download, and then boom, there's that same cumbersome file that we tried to do the edit or the read from the browser. It wouldn't come up, but right now we just downloaded the file, and as you can see, this is the Excel file that came up. So before we had all those errors, now we don't. So that's why that download to me, it's a better workaround for that error. So that's pretty much everything in the and again, this is another feature probably we want to see as far as actually adding information. I can say add document. Of course, go to my browser. My browser is set up where I can go to my desktop and I can load something in there. And then let's say it can load an audio file of a test. And then, well, let's say an image file. We'll load an image file. You can see it populating from C, hit OK, and then boom, it should be in there somewhere. And right here, you'll see image and you'll see new. You'll see the time it was modified at, looks like 9:29. Looks like my software is a little off. I don't know how that happened. Must be some kind of clock thing. But anyway, it really should be 10:30. But that's the new image that we just uploaded to the site, and you'll see the little icon new. If I were to click on the image, it's going to come up with this message. It could be harmful because it thinks that it's your firewall kicking off, and it's basically a picture of my background. I am going to bring back up my site because I just clicked the icon off. Kind of glad I did that because guys can see what happens. This is pretty cool. It kind of knows that I logged off, so I would have to put my password back in there and bring the site back up. Depending upon which browser you use, if you were to blow away your software by hitting that X at the top, you might have to log on, but sometimes with Firefox, it allows you to just pick up the discussion or pick up the website from where you actually left off. So that's the libraries document, what I call the EMC document library and information. We also have one for logistics. There's nothing been added. We have one for engineering and one for operations. Now we have the next thing in SharePoint is the lists. So we have all these different lists. We have an emergency list, calendars, contact, links, phone numbers, priorities, resources, contact information, vendor contact. So all of these lists are set up a little different so we can kind of go through. The announcements, if you go back to the home page and you look here, This is where announcements can be made, or you can make it from this site, but they'll pretty much wind up on the same front page. So let's say we have an assignment, an announcement. Let's say, "Hail to the Redskins," because that's my favorite team, and it's "Hail to the Redskins." You know, this is probably gonna mess with Calvin and Fred because collectively they are Giants and Bears fans, but that's all good. We won't hold that against them. Anyway, I would hit save, and you would see HHTR, Help to the Redskins, on this announcement page. But when we go back to the home page, you also see it there. So this pops up on the home page. So this would be great if we have to make quick announcements like any issues with the church. Unfortunately, we're going to have heavy weather coming once we probably move in. It will be the October November time frame, and then we're going to be looking at winter. So we have to have salt and sand and all the other stuff that will keep our place of worship, safe for folks can walk. But let's say we have, hey, we need to put a quick message out from the website as far as, hey, we need 2 truckloads of sand. Well, that's where you can make an announcement, and that information can be piped out using mobile means as well, as far as us from an alert perspective. But hopefully we won't have to use the alert perspective for that. The next list we have is our calendar, and I think we already went over this part, but I wanted to see you. This is our main list, but if you look, so this is January, February, March, April, May, June, and so on and so forth. So let's click back to January. We have that list. This list is set, but now this is linked up to this called meetings. So this is where the relationship is. So this information to the far left is the same exact date and time information that was put in our overall calendar. So that's why that's set up like that. From here, the people that have access to the calendar can simply add particular bits of information in here as needed. As you can see, the little add icon pop up. And I'll show you a quick one. We say add time, MLLK, event, location, worldwide. Let's say that it's going to be from 12 a.m. to 11 p.m. We can say if the category of this event, we can just say holiday. We can choose our own value, and we can make this what's called an all-day event. And based on the calendar that you saw as far as our meetings, we had something called reoccurrence in the workplace. So we don't have to select those two for now, but that's something that we can talk about like at a later date as far as changing the times that we have our live trustee meetings or something like that. But let's go ahead and just hit the word save. And you can see how that particular event showed up on the 15th. We double click that, and then this is going to actually display. We can edit it from our perspective. We can delete it. We can manage permissions as far as who can see it. But as you can see, right here was created at this time. Was created, modified at this time. And we can see MLK event worldwide and the time and the place is at a holiday. So that's pretty much how the calendar system actually works. So let's go to the next tasks. Ooh. Go back to the site. Looks like we're having a little bit of error. Let's see. The view requires at least Microsoft Explorer 7. Oh, so this is actually a cool error. Depending upon the type of computer system that you have, you may want to have to update it because this site is looking for specific upgrades. The particular computer I'm using is a little older, but it's okay. It's interesting that this error comes up on task, but that's something that you may face, but we can work that out later. But pretty much what the task is basically a series of questions and answers that pop up, and it's kind of set up like a Excel spreadsheet that kind of gives you the priority of the task, the what the task is, the due date, the time it started, and the actual completion percentage of the task. So it's very similar to a Microsoft project, and we'll kind of go over that a little later on during our live meeting. I'll try to correct that error, but that's some of the things you'll see with SharePoint. If it doesn't like a particular thing, it will error out like this. So kind of go back to site. Um, Contact list. Again, this is a contact list where you can put all types of contacts, people's name, address. Let's try it. Name, first name, email, company, just business information. We can put that in there, a little bit of gibberish, and then hit save. And as you can see, the contact information of that person is there. So you'll see name, first, company, just the base information. Depending upon how the list is set up, we can actually add more view of it or less view, but that's something we won't go over quite now, but kind of a neat feature if we need to get that information and export it to everyone's phone list that they carry around, on their smartphone or something like that. The next list we have, this might be extremely helpful to us as we move on to the future. So I've been loading this up with different websites that I've been kind of following, from parts to associated websites that we might need to utilize as we start really getting involved with some of the things that we have to do. For instance, valve types, one of my favorite subjects. This is a website on how valves work, the various valves, and believe it or not, some of these valves that you see will be installed in our new building. So it will probably be a good idea that we all kind of understand how these devices work in case we have to shut water off or shut gasoline on. And this also can apply to discharge systems for stormwater drain management and things of that nature. So you just hit the back key as we go back up, and it takes us back to our site. Another, we probably don't have to worry about boiler systems too much, but another interesting site that the sexton and any of the building engineers would need to probably have in their back pocket is Granger. Granger is a site where we can actually order parts, tools, supplies, light bulbs, tissue paper, soap, you name it, everything. As you can see, ice in a big old snow blower. So we can possibly set up an account. That's something we will have to work out with our finance department, but it's there, and we have it on our website. McMaster, this is pretty much for smaller type parts for like bolts and switches and fittings, and I mean, you name it, it's there. I use these at some of the firms that I work with in the past. Hit the back key. Electrical, you name it, it's there. Engine parts, everything is pretty much there. We might run into a situation where folks will hit a dry, some drywall damage or something like that. It's kind of a quick and dirty of how to repair drywall. So as people that have to manage the building and take care of the building, we may have to make some quick repairs ourselves. So hopefully we won't, but in the future you never know. Once I had to couple of kids were playing in the old church and they busted a window out and had to pull the tools out and fix that old window real quick. So this is some of the things that may happen, and this information would be useful at a later date. Um, these two sites right here, I think we have to kind of really think about how are we going to manage the church property. So that's what these sites, and so it would be a great thing if everybody just kind of look it over. And this would fall up under operations. The operations lead would have a huge say so in how we should actually manage the facilities of the church. Again, I don't want to get into too much of the why, but I just want to focus on the SharePoint site. But interesting pages to fill out. Um, Another interesting link that we have is the fire and EMS. We've had several incidents in the past that we had to get medical personnel there at the church to take care of members that were in need of medical help. So this will kind of give us some information as to what to do, when to do, how to do it, and to stay abreast of some of the things we need to take care of. So we have a lot of websites here from Micro Center. One of my other favorites ones, because I'm an electronics geek. That's where I get all of my computer systems and support. We may have to do this for the sound and video ministry to get things from there. I don't know. Home Depot. We may have to get equipment from Home Depot. We can set up an account. We can order things. So that's pretty much what's on this particular website. We also have a couple of neat websites about church operations. There's no sense of reinventing the wheel. We can looks like we got an error message on that particular website we clicked on. My firewall came up, so let's try another one. Let's go to try this guy out, see what happens. So this is a website that I actually use as far as like getting a facility request form. So this kind of got some ideas and created a quick form. So again, as we see and know of more websites, please feel free to add to it. So again, you would let's go ahead and create another browser window. Let's say we want to create a website called AOL.com. Let's hit AOL. Da-da-da-da. Pops up with AOL. Copy that site inside. Go back to our regular website and say add link. Copy it in there. Hit save. Boom, it populates probably at the very end. And you can see the AO website that we just created, just populated right there. External sites, same thing. These are more related to the church. We can rename it or give it another name, but pretty much works the same way. Feel free to, again to go through these things. There's our own church website right there. Click on it, and it brings us up to our church website. Hit the back key, and we're back to ours. Phone call. If we want to make, again, this is not another list to keep information as far as a call log. Who do you receive the call from? Who are recipients? What was the message about? I doubt if we need to really use this thing, but it's a nice to have if we have to. Vendor contacts. This might be useful for us because, again, it's another contact list that can be exported to Excel that we can share, but we can put the vendors that we have to deal with on a normal basis, on an everyday basis, that everyone will have, that would probably need to have access to in case something goes bump in the night, ranging from a busted pipe all the way to, hey, we need to order another 50 gallons of peanut oil because we're having a fish fry or something like that. I mean, you have the vendors right there. Um, Again, another list. This is basically a contact list that we can use, so they're pretty much all the same. Another interesting list is called priorities. Now, this is similar to what these task lists are. That's why I can't understand why I'm getting this error. I go back to the site, but now I click on my priority site and I don't get an error. So this is basically how the task list should kind of populate out. These are some priorities that um, we may have, like getting back on the hill. We have to assign an operations engineering and a logistics lead, and the priorities can have a status of active, who the priority is assigned to, the level of it, is it high, medium, or low, the due date. So if I were to hit add new item, and you can see, give the item a title, assigned to, and I'm going to hit assign to so you can see something. And if I were just to type, let's say KS and hit find, it's going to search it's going to search in our Active Directory, and it's going to it's going to come up with Kelly Smith. So I click on Kelly's name and I get an error. I shouldn't get an error, but I get an error. But I click on Kelly's name and it says unexpected. So it must be because I'm using Firefox or IE again. But I would pick on a person's name, select the person who it's assigned to, and pretty much say, well, what is the prioritized item, and then hit the word save. But we're not going to do that. I initially created the website in Firefox, but I'm using IE right now, so that could be what's going on. Another one, emergency links. This is some links that, unfortunately, with all of the things that are happening at churches, um, we had a briefing the other night on active shooters. So we have FBI tips, tip line to the feds. If you see something, say something. That's the big model now. We have DC Homeland Security, EMS, Fire Department again. If you see something, say something. Uh, Travel, we do have members that live in, we have an international church. If there is an issue with some travel warnings, that is, we want our members to have like notice of. We can kind of share this particular site, travel.state.gov. This is basically worldwide travel advisories of what's kind of going on, some of the hot spots. We also have ready.gov. This is something that I hope we never have to deal with, but we have to put plans in place to be ready. This is how to deal with active shooter or any other violent event that can happen to us. So this is another great website. CDC, with all of the flu um, issues that are going around in our country, especially down south, what we need to do as a congregation to protect our members, because we have both young and old, and we may have to do some different various types of practices once a new building gets in, if we become in an epidemic state with a flu or, God forbid, any other type of issue where we have to keep our building clean and safe. So again, these are some of the links and websites. Here's another one from DC's Homeland Security Department. So this is the National Homeland Security. This is the actual PDF file. Actually, this is pretty cool that this came up. So if you look at this link, this gives us a link, but it says .pdf. So if I click on that .pdf file, an actual PDF document pops up. You can save it to your desktop, or you can also print it out. So that's how a link inside of a link would actually happen. So that's just kind of like a neat thing to look at. So this could be useful and helpful. And again, that's Homeland Security. And if I hit my back key, I'll go back to the browser. So in a nutshell, And we pretty much have 8 minutes to spare. In a nutshell, one more thing, discussion board. Um, let's see, I think we kind of already went over this. This works similar to that survey, but you can, if there's a discussion, um, talk about safe building and hit save and then put the text you want to hit save, it pops up, and then boom, you see that. This may, let's see if it goes back to the home page. It doesn't. I could create a web part on our front page that will take us back to this so we can see and if anyone has any discussions they want to talk about. So basically, something that you can check is like, hey, I created a discussion about a safe building was created by test, 0 replies, and this is the date that was created. So if you were to click on that and say view item and then apply to it, let's see if it's going to let us apply edit. I won't let it edit. So I had to figure out how come it's not letting us apply. That might be something going on with, again, with IE. But again, I can create what's called a web part where this can actually show up on our home page. So if anybody has any discussions or anything like that, they'll be able to do that. So let's go to site actions, site settings. This is something you may not have. And if I were to go to web part, and these are the web parts that are actually on the front page. So let's go back. Oh, I know what's wrong. If I go here and I'll say edit page. If I were to say edit page, these things called add part, add web part. I can sit there and say add a web part and then kind of direct that to there. So let's just say add a web part to this side, and the web part can be called discussion board. Let's select that. And I'll say add. And as you can see, we have a discussion board. We have a discussion board, and I'll say stop editing. And boom, our discussion board pops up. So now we can add discussions on our front page to the website, to the browser. So I'll say sites again. And this is just something that I would have to do. Home page. And if you were to look here at the discussion board, you can see that I added it there, but you can also see it on the front page. So we have discussion board. So this might be something that we can use. If somebody has an issue that they want to talk about with the general masses, if everyone, just kind of gets in the habit of just reviewing the website at least once a week or something like that to see if anything new is popping up on it. That would stimulate, phone calls and emails, hopefully, if we have any issues that need to be resolved. So basically, folks, it looks like it is 10:56. Hopefully, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via email or phone call. Email will probably be better. I will send out this recording. There may have been members that's trying to get online, so hopefully, if there could have been some log-on issues, I don't know, but hopefully this will kind of give you a general idea of how our Emory United Methodist Church Trustee Board website works, and hopefully this has been a useful demonstration. I think we covered pretty much everything. The main thing is we have 3 pages again. The home page, getting back on the hill. Something tells me that Kelly's going to love this thing, I hope. And then we also have our meetings. So these are the 3 primary sites that we use. Also, if you stay onto the far left portion of the website. We have the document libraries, the list, and the different surveys. But again, pretty much SharePoint is a collection of sites, a collection of document libraries, and a collection of lists that are put together, used to organize things. We also have our front page, web parts, and as you can see, a discussion board and announcements. So hopefully, again, you'll find this helpful. And thank you, folks, for listening. And I'll hope to see you Tuesday night at our live meeting, and then we can kind of go on from there. Have a great day. God bless. Shalom.